Have you ever felt that someone in your life drains your energy like an emotional vampire? Today, we will uncover the 10 signs that will help you identify those toxic people who, without you noticing, could be sabotaging your happiness. The last sign will surprise you. At the end of the video, I will give you several practical tools to deal with these people and regain your emotional well-being. Before we begin, if you find value in these videos, please subscribe and click the bell to stay updated. Ready to begin? Let's start with the first on our list, the master manipulator. Have you ever felt like someone is pulling your strings as if you were a puppet in their personal play? This character is like an emotional puppeteer, moving the strings of your feelings with a skill that would make even the best magician pale in comparison. But don't worry. Today, we are going to learn how to cut those invisible strings and take back control of our own story. Manipulators are masters of deception, experts at using subtle tactics that often go unnoticed. One of their favorite weapons is emotional blackmail. They make you feel guilty for not doing what they want, as if you were responsible for their happiness. If you really loved me, you would do this for me. Does that sound familiar? Another classic tactic is guilt. They are capable of turning any situation into your responsibility. If something goes wrong, somehow it's always your fault. It's like they have a PhD in making others feel bad about themselves. But wait, there's more. Manipulators are masters of reality distortion. They can deny things that clearly happened or exaggerate events to fit their narrative. It's like living in a movie where the script changes constantly and you're the only one who didn't get the memo. A recent study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships revealed something surprising. People who have been in relationships with emotional manipulators often experience a decrease in self-esteem and confidence that can last years after the relationship has ended. It's as if the manipulator leaves a toxic imprint on our psyche. But not all is lost. The Stoics, those ancient sages, had some brilliant ideas about how to handle manipulators. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, wrote, "The best way to avenge an enemy is not to become like him." In other words, the best defense against a manipulator is to maintain your integrity and not fall into their games. So how can we apply this Stoic wisdom in our daily lives? Practice mindfulness. Observe your emotions and the tactics others use to influence you. When you feel someone is trying to manipulate you, take a step back and ask yourself, is this my true emotion, or am I being influenced? Set clear boundaries. Don't be afraid to say no when something doesn't align with your values. Remember, you're not responsible for other people's happiness at the cost of your own. Cultivate your self-esteem. The more secure you are in yourself, the less vulnerable you'll be to manipulation. As Epictetus, another great Stoic, would say, "No man is free if he is not master of himself." Lastly, practice compassion, but with limits. Understand that manipulators often act from their own insecurities and fears. However, understanding doesn't mean accepting or tolerating harmful behavior. Now let's move on to the second sign. Have you ever felt that nothing you do is enough? Welcome to the world of the relentless critic, that inner judge who seems to have a doctorate in finding flaws. But don't worry, today we'll learn how to silence that voice and regain our confidence. Imagine for a moment that your life is a reality show, and the relentless critic is the harshest judge on the panel. No matter how well you do, they always have something negative to say. "Well, that wasn't bad, but," is their favorite phrase. It's like they have a radar for detecting imperfections, no matter how small. This inner judge doesn't just criticize your actions, but also your thoughts, appearance, and even your dreams. "Do you really think you can achieve that?" is their favorite question. And the worst part is that, over time, you start believing them. But here's the truth. This relentless critic is nothing more than a character in your mind, fueled by past experiences and future fears. It has no real power over you, unless you give it to them. The problem is that, like a virus, this critical attitude can be contagious. I've noticed that when I spend time with people who tend to criticize everything, I start adopting that same attitude. It's like when you travel to another country and pick up the local accent. Imagine someone from Andalusia spending time with someone from the Basque region. They'd end up saying ajo with a northern accent. Marcus Aurelius, that wise Roman emperor, had something to say about this. Don't be troubled, all things follow the nature of the universe. In a short time, you'll be gone, just like Hadrian and Augustus. In other words, don't let other people's opinions affect you so much. In the end, we are all stardust. So how can we apply this stoic wisdom in our daily lives? Recognize that you are more than your achievements or failures. Your worth as a person doesn't depend on what you do or fail to do. Practice self-compassion. Talk to yourself as you would to a good friend. Would you tell your best friend they're a failure for making a mistake? Probably not. So why say that to yourself? Surround yourself with supportive and inspiring people. Remember, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you surround yourself with relentless critics, you'll become one. But if you surround yourself with people who see the best in you, you'll start seeing the best in yourself. 4. Practice gratitude. Instead of focusing on what's missing or what's wrong, take time each day to appreciate what you have and what you've achieved. Remember that sometimes walking away is the best option. If there's someone in your life who constantly criticizes and makes you feel less, it's valid to put some distance. Your mental well-being is more important than pleasing others. When the world revolves around them, or so they believe. Do you know how to identify a narcissist? Don't worry, they'll tell you themselves. In fact, they're probably already shouting it from rooftops, social media platforms, and any reflective surface they find. Narcissists are like human suns, bright, warm, and charming, until you get too close and get burned. They are experts at attracting attention, always ready to share their epic stories or complain about how the world doesn't appreciate their brilliance. But what lies behind that facade of supreme confidence? Psychology tells us that narcissism often hides deep insecurity. It's like wearing a shining suit of armor to conceal their vulnerabilities. Narcissism comes with a menu of toxic behaviors. Lack of empathy. Your problems are insignificant compared to their daily dramas. Constant need for admiration. If you're not praising them, are you even listening? Grandiosity. Their achievements are always epic, their talents unparalleled. Manipulation. They can twist any situation to become the hero or the victim, depending on what suits them. In relationships, narcissists are like emotional vacuums, sucking up all the attention and support, leaving others emotionally drained. It's like trying to fill a bottomless well with your energy and affection. But wait, there's more. In the age of social media, narcissism is having its golden moment. A recent University of Michigan study revealed a 30% increase in narcissistic traits among young people over the past decade. Instagram, TikTok, and similar platforms have become the perfect playground for digital narcissists. Imagine a world where every selfie, every post, every story is an opportunity to feed that insatiable ego. Social media has created an ecosystem where constant validation is just a like away. So how can we deal with narcissists without losing ourselves? Recognize their behavior without judgment. Study their behavior as if you were a scientist observing a fascinating species. Curiosity, not criticism. Set firm but compassionate boundaries. Don't be afraid to say no when they cross the line. Build your self-esteem. The more secure you are, the less their manipulation tactics will affect you. It's like building an emotional shield against their drama. Practice compassion from a distance. Remember, understanding doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior. Let's build a community of kindness by subscribing to Stoicism for Success right now and sharing it with those you wish to see live with kindness and strength like us. Let's spread these positive values together. The Silent Saboteur, a master of subtle sabotage. These saboteurs are like emotional ninjas, moving stealthily, leaving a trail of doubts, insecurities, and obstacles in their path. They could be that friend who always has a reason why your business idea won't work, or that family member who constantly reminds you of past failures just before an important interview. Their tactics are as varied as they are insidious. They might spread subtle rumors that undermine your confidence, or plant seeds of doubt just when you're about to succeed. Envy also plays a crucial role. A recent study from Harvard University revealed that people with a high tendency for social sabotage often experience elevated levels of envy and low self-esteem. It's as if they see success as a limited pie. If you get a slice, there's less for them. Sabotage can also be a twisted way of maintaining control. By keeping others down, the saboteur feels like they are in control. But how can we protect ourselves from this silent poison? Cultivate self-awareness. Learn to recognize the subtle signs of sabotage. Does someone always have a discouraging word when you share your plans? Do they seem to be around only when things go wrong? Stay focused on your goals. Don't let their negativity derail your progress. If you've made it this far, subscribe now and join the wise minority. If you enjoy this kind of content as much as I do, leave a comment saying, "I love wisdom." Let's keep learning and improving our lives together. The obsessive controller, someone who tries to direct every aspect of your life as if you were a character in their personal chess game. Imagine for a moment that your life is a board game where every move you make is dictated by someone else. You should dress this way. You shouldn't hang out with those friends. You have to do things my way. Does that sound familiar? But what's behind this behavior? Psychology gives us some clues. This need for control often stems from deep insecurity and fear of chaos. It's as if the world is a terrifying and unpredictable place, and the only way they feel safe is by controlling everything and everyone around them. The impact of this behavior on relationships can be devastating. Controllers often disguise their manipulation as care or concern. "I'm only doing this for your own good. I just want what's best for you," they say, while pushing you down a path they've chosen. But not all is lost. The Stoics, those ancient sages, had some brilliant ideas about how to maintain our inner freedom, even in the most challenging circumstances. Epictetus, who began life as a slave, once said, "No man is free if he is not master of himself." This teaching is like a key that unlocks the cage of obsessive control, reminding us that true freedom comes from within. So how can we apply this wisdom in daily life? Recognize controlling behavior. Be aware of attempts to limit your choices or dictate your actions. Set boundaries. Clearly express what is acceptable and what isn't. Seek support. Surround yourself with people who respect your autonomy and encourage you to be yourself. Practice emotional detachment. When someone tries to control you, mentally take a step back and observe the situation objectively. Remember, you are not responsible for satisfying someone else's need for control. Your freedom and autonomy are fundamental rights that deserve to be protected. The compulsive liar, a master of deception who lives in a reality of their own making. They might lie to avoid conflict, impress others, or maintain a distorted self-image. It's as if they live in a parallel universe where they are the stars of a movie only they can see. The problem is that they drag everyone around them onto their imaginary set. Detecting a liar isn't as easy as TV shows have led us to believe. There's no foolproof toward, but certain patterns can reveal their deception. They weave webs of lies and sooner or later get caught in their own stories. Another clue is the lack of specific details or an overload of irrelevant information. When someone is telling the truth, they can usually provide concrete details. Liars, on the other hand, tend to be vague or, paradoxically, bombard you with unnecessary details to distract from the gaps in their story. But not everything is negative. The Stoics, with their focus on truth and virtue, offer tools to navigate a world filled with deceit. Value honesty as a core principle. Make truthfulness a guiding value in your life. Practice self-awareness. Be mindful of your own tendencies to deny or distort reality. Seek multiple perspectives. Don't rely solely on your version of events. Be open to different viewpoints. Set clear boundaries. If you identify someone who lies consistently, communicate that honesty is important and that repeated lies can harm the relationship. Let's come together to support our community. If you are a kind person, please hit the like button on this video and leave some energetic comments to spread positive vibes. Together, we can make a difference. The emotional chameleon, someone whose moods swing unpredictably, leaving others emotionally exhausted. One day they're sweet and charming, the next they're bitter and distant, and the day after they're a chaotic mix of emotions you didn't even know existed. Living or working with an emotional chameleon is like sailing in a stormy sea with a map that keeps changing. These emotional chameleons are experts at keeping those around them in a constant state of uncertainty. One moment they're euphoric, celebrating life as if they've won the lottery. The next, they're overwhelmed by despair, pulling everyone down with them. A recent University of California study revealed that people who live or work with emotionally unstable individuals experience 40% more daily stress and have a 30% higher risk of burnout. So how can we deal with emotional chameleons without being dragged into their emotional storms? Maintain your emotional stability. The more centered you are, the less you'll be affected by others' emotional swings. Be like a rock in the middle of a turbulent river. Set boundaries. Clearly define what behavior you're willing to accept. Don't take it personally. Their mood swings are not about you. They reflect their internal struggles. Limit your exposure. If possible, reduce the time you spend around people who constantly disrupt your emotional balance. Someone who seems to have a PhD in blaming others. Imagine for a moment that life is a giant board game. We all roll the dice, move forward, move backward, win and lose. But for the professional victim, life is a conspiracy against them. They live in a movie where they are the misunderstood protagonist and everyone else is the villain. The problem is that in their constant effort to be the eternal victim, they end up becoming the antagonist of their own story. But what lies behind this constant need to blame others? Psychology tells us that this behavior often stems from low self-esteem and a deep fear of failure. It's easier to blame the world than face personal limitations and mistakes. It's as if they've built a psychological defense mechanism that shields them from responsibility. A study from Stanford University revealed that people who constantly blame others have a 60% lower chance of achieving personal and professional goals. It's not surprising. It's hard to grow and improve when it's always someone else who needs to change. The Stoics offer powerful wisdom for countering this victim mentality. Marcus Aurelius said, "It's not the events themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them." This idea serves as an antidote to the poison of victimhood, reminding us that we have the power to choose how we interpret and respond to life's challenges. So how can we apply Stoic wisdom when dealing with the professional victim, or when we notice such tendencies in ourselves? Take responsibility for your actions. Even when things go wrong, ask yourself, what could I have done differently? Shift your perspective. Focus on what you can control, rather than what's beyond your power. Avoid the blame game. Understand that failures and setbacks are part of life's learning process. Practice empathy with limits. Recognize that victimhood often stems from inner pain, but don't feed into endless complaints. Use humor as a tool. Sometimes a well-placed joke can put things into perspective. I think the universe has better things to do than conspire against us. Could be your way of lightening the mood. The reality denier, someone who lives in a world of their own making. Imagine life as a movie where the reality denier is both the screenwriter and lead actor. They rewrite the script as they see fit, crafting an alternate version of reality where inconvenient truths don't exist. But what drives this constant denial of reality? Psychology tells us it's often a defense mechanism against uncomfortable or painful truths. It's as if these people have built an elaborate emotional house of cards and fear that the slightest breeze of reality will bring it crashing down. A recent study from Stanford University found that individuals prone to reality distortion often display high levels of anxiety and low emotional resilience. They live in a world where accepting reality feels too threatening. The real danger lies in allowing someone to distort our perception of reality repeatedly. It's like letting someone put virtual reality goggles on us, showing a world completely different from the real one. Over time, we can lose our moral compass and sense of truth. So how can we address this issue when faced with a reality denier or when we notice denial tendencies in ourselves. Cultivate a love for truth. Make seeking truth a core value in your life, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. Practice self-awareness. Observe your own tendencies to deny or distort reality to avoid unpleasant emotions. Seek multiple perspectives. Don't cling to your version of events. Be open to hearing other points of view. Establish clear boundaries. If someone constantly distorts reality, communicate the importance of honesty and transparency in your relationship. When someone can't celebrate others' successes and is consumed by jealousy. Imagine someone who always has a cutting comment when you share good news or minimizes your achievements with a dismissive, "Oh, you just got lucky." These are classic signs of toxic envy. But why are some people so prone to envy? Psychology tells us that envy often stems from deep-seated insecurity and a sense of inadequacy. It's as if these individuals live in a world of scarcity, where someone else's success feels like a personal loss. Envy can also act as a reversed barometer of success. The more criticism and negativity you face from envious people, the clearer it becomes that you're doing something right. So how can we handle toxic envy without getting caught in its negative energy? Recognize it for what it is: insecurity disguised as criticism. Don't let it stop you. Your success is not an insult to anyone else. Keep growing. As Marcus Aurelius would say, the best revenge is not to be like them. In other words, the best response to envy is to keep improving, keep shining, and keep rising. Value your peace of mind. Surround yourself with people who inspire and uplift you. Don't be afraid to set boundaries and walk away from toxic relationships. If you've made it this far, write emotional well-being in the comments so I know who the victors are that reached the end of this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate notifications for more content like this in the future. Share this video with someone who could benefit from it. See you next time.